Hello and welcome to Finextra. I'm Hannah Wallace and we're here today in Toronto for Sibos 2017, and joining me is David Treat from Accenture. We're going to be talking about the opportunities presented by blockchain. David, thank you for speaking with me today.
Thanks for having me, Hannah.
So first of all, can you tell me a little bit about blockchain and why banks are so excited about it and some of the opportunities it presents?
For the past decades, we've been locked in a particular business model where to get anything done in this world, I have to message my view of the world to you, and you have to message it back to me, and our teams have to reconcile that information and agree it, and then we complete any form of transaction. And whether that's banking or supply chain or any industry, that's the nature of how we've been operating for decades, really since databases were invented. And so the possibility now of being able to actually break that messaging-based model and confidently share access to a data structure means tremendous possibilities, not just cost savings and efficiency, but new products and services as well. So I like to answer that question by saying, well, one of my favorite clients talks about his top-tier bank as being a reconciliation business that does a bit of banking, and it's just very, very true, and that's what the excitement about this technology is all about, is to break that messaging-based business model.
Okay, and what do you think is going to be the most prevalent use of the application blockchain?
The use cases are now coming out of the woodwork, really, from across the board. So within financial services, obviously there's a huge start around payments, a huge start around clearing and settlement of securities. The insurance industry is now starting to do quite a bit, in that domain, and it's getting started there as well. So the use cases are going to pervade financial services, because at the end of the day, financial services has turned into a technology business and an ability to work with data, and this technology is going to really modernize that in a tremendous way. So from a use case that's going to happen first fastest, I think we're seeing the most movement in payments. From things that are happening at the core of the infrastructure of capital markets, I think the work that's going on at the clearinghouses and exchanges to really overhaul clearing and settlement of securities is right there as well in terms of what's going to happen first in a big scale way. And then I think there are lots of other interesting things that are happening outside of that. We have a huge focus on identity. Identity is obviously key from a financial services perspective of AML KYC, of client onboarding, of just even risk, the risk one takes with whom you're working with, and the identity of things. And so we have a big focus on identity that cuts across those use cases. So those three, I would say, are where we see the most engagement, the most traction, the first, and then lots of things to follow.
Fantastic. Well, despite the excitement around blockchain, there is a worry that it's going to become a reality. Where do you think the challenges are around that?
So it's interesting. We've seen a real shift over the past, I would say, 2 quarters with our clients, where the leading banks have emerged from the education and the POC and the prototyping phase of needing to learn the technology. Banks now understand what it is, I think, by and large, and the conversations are really turning to the strategic conversation of what is the real value, what's the business case, how will my ecosystem get reshaped? And so from where the work has to happen now, it is peers, competitors, people upstream from you, downstream from you, getting together and really rethinking strategically how will the overall ecosystem change if we no longer have to message back and forth to each other. Some players, propositions are going to change dramatically, others less so, but that all has to get figured out. And the regulators in that mix too, right? So you see regulators figuring out how they have to modernize regulations to match the development of the business ecosystem off of this technology. So, I'm very suspicious of when people launch a blockchain project, right? Because we've really now gotten past that and we're pivoting into, I'm launching a transformation with partners and getting the governance, the interaction, the relationships, and mapping out how that value is going to change is the hard work that's happening now, but it's hard work. And so that'll be the predominant aspect of the next phase, as in, over the course of the next year, more and more things get into a production state.
David, it's been very insightful. It'll be interesting to see where it leads to, and thank you for speaking with me today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And thank you for watching.